Good evening. Namaste. Welcome to this session of Vanaspati Vismaya with me, Megha Mehta, and Divyaji, my co host for today. On behalf of both of us, we are very, very pleased to have you all on this session and happy to share our experience with the world of plants. So, I'm sure you're very curious to know why we have termed this session as Vanaspati Vismaya. So, to give you a background, like I just shared, that both Divyaji and I have been very, very awestruck by our experiences with the world of plants in many, many different ways. And to give you a brief, of how it has happened, I will probably give you an introduction of Divyaji and then it will unfold. So Divyaji is an agri entrepreneur. She's also teaching various art of living courses, including the happiness program, the meditation program, Sudarshan Kriya program, as well as home kitchen gardening and natural farming to farmers. So all of this, as you can see, has got to do with plants or meditation or channeling your energy stuff. And that's how her life has taken a beautiful turn, and she has transformed as a human being. And I can say the same for myself. I have also been associated and working with at least been experiencing plant frequencies recently through a course called Mandala Vaatika, which is an art of living course, and that has transformed my life and my outlook and perspective towards life. So we both wanted to share our journey through these different courses and the learnings we have had, and that's why we conceptualized this session. So Divyaji, over to you. I would like you to talk about your journey as an agri entrepreneur. What is it that has come your way? How did it unfold? And we will take it forward from there.
Yeah, so the journey for me started like I had always had a good interest in plants and maintaining plants. Like I took over my gardening space in my own house. Uh, well, I was the most interested in that. So from there, I realized that there was a special connection I felt with plants. Yeah, and like planting trees also every year, a monsoon project. That would be the that's something that would be very close to my heart. Of course we will be organizing courses, we'll be doing all of that, but then this was had a very special place. And after working with the fashion industry for many years, I realized that uh, although of course it's a very important part of life, but then slowly my interest started waning, and I thought if I had to invest my life in something and make a living also in something, it had to do with something that really meant to me a lot. Yeah, so this is when I started to looking for trainings, and I found this agriculture TTP where you can learn the whole process of natural farming, and you can also become a teacher in that and be teaching farmers, also kitchen gardeners. And this I happened to do in 2018-19, and since then we have been taking a lot of training programs. And I was just very fortunate, I think, that I was also offered a mentorship program with Dr. Prabhakar Rao, where we researched a home growing solution, like a solution where people who were so keen on eating healthy food, who were keen on having fresh food, self grown food, but there were two important key factors in lives of people who stay in the cities. Typically we are very short on time, and typically we are short on space also, especially in apartments. And that problem got solved when we invented something called the iGrow disk. Yeah. So this is something very, very simple to use. I won't take much time on this discussion, but if you're interested in growing your own food simply in a fast manner, then you can check out this. Our website is igrowdisk.com. But this is something about something much bigger, and so we will take on that discussion. Megha, let's continue. We want to
Sure.
discuss the very essence of what plants mean to us in human life. Are they just something that give us food and they just give us oxygen, or is it something, a deeper connection that we have with वनस्पति चेतना? उसमें कुछ और भी है क्या जो हमें मिलता है उससे, या सिर्फ वो खाने के लिए ही हमें मिलता है कि भैया गेहूं मिल रहा है हमको, आम दे दो, या वो उस पेड़ से भी हमारा कोई रिलेशनशिप है. So this, I think, is discussion is to explore that part of consciousness. Yeah.
So
So
beautifully said. Yeah, that's so beautifully
hmm.
said. And like you've mentioned, I would also like to highlight that our inspiration behind this session and all of these experiences, Dr. Prabhakar Rao, who is also our mentor, he's a seed keeper. He's done his PhD in plant genetics, and most of these experiences that we have had, it's under his guidance and because of the knowledge he has shared with us, and that is exactly what we want to pass on to all the viewers today. So coming back to Vanaspati Vismaya, or getting in touch with Vanaspati consciousness, it's very important to understand the word Vanaspati, because that's where it kind of made me curious. We obviously, we there are different in different languages we call the world of plants in different names, but this word Vanaspati per se, it's a Sanskrit word, and it's a very, very beautiful word. So we would like to share with you a little bit of history of how this science of plant consciousness evolved. And for that, I'm going to just share my screen and take you through a beautiful journey of the world of plant consciousness. Uh, so this word Vanaspati, like I said, it's a Sanskrit word, and it means lord of the forest, and it's primarily a term. Vanaspati is a term used for a large fruit bearing tree, but especially a fig tree. If you look at the ancient scriptures, that's how they define the word Vanaspati. But it also refers to the plant kingdom in general. And in fact, in our ancient Vedic tradition, the knowledge of plants and plant life and the consciousness associated with plants has been researched very, very thoroughly. And some of it is mentioned in different Vedas. And Vrikshayar Veda is a specific, scripture which talks about the Indian science of plant life, and it is very fascinating. I hope, one of these days we get to start reading it. But this is just to share the basic information. When I got to know that there is a whole scripture which is dedicated to plant life and plant knowledge, I became very curious. So moving on to, in fact, we did a little bit of research, and we found that there is a Vrihat Aranyaka Upanishad, which also talks about how the body of a plant is very similar to the body of a human being. They have gone on and told about this analogy where they've described that the inner structure of the plants is very similar to human anatomy. So the hair that we have, they correspond to the leaves of the plant, right? The skin corresponds to the exterior bark of the plants, and the flesh, that we have corresponds to something called as sakara, or the soft tissue. Uh, which is available in the plants. So it's very, very similar, which obviously leads us to this realization: if the components of existence are similar, then do plants also hear, feel, emote? Do they produce sounds? Is that possible? Does that realm exist? And when we did this course called the Mandala Vaatika, that paradigm opened for us, where we felt that the plant vibrations are magical and they can do so much, for uplifting human consciousness. So just to give you an idea of how this works, we do have a couple of videos lined up. But before that, Divyaji, I want to ask you, have you experienced in what ways have you experienced the magic of plants? We just saw that they definitely are very, very conscious, and also science has now kind of come forward and brought about this fact that plants can hear sound and they can respond to sound as well, and we will look at that in a video in a bit. But what has been your personal experience of coming in touch with plant frequencies?
Yeah, so I would like to begin with how when we choose to go for a walk, or when we choose to go for a holiday, or when we want to trek, we choose plants, we choose places which are really, have a lot of plants around. Like if we go for a walk, we will go to a park only. We will not go walk on the street even if it is empty. Yeah, and when we go, there is a, a certain group of people who want to go hiking in the forest every now and then, on mountains, trekking. So, my personal experience has been that being around plants fills you up with certain energy. You know, that walk which you may be doing on a treadmill compared to a walk in the park will be very different effect it will have on you mentally, also physically. Yeah, it will have more healing for sure. You will notice that when you walk around plants, you don't tend to get more fatigued. Plants have a soothing presence on us. You'll be sharing those videos where we realize that how there are sounds that the human mind cannot perceive, but there are these sounds which are calming to our system. We may not perceive it through our ears, but our consciousness will take this as a signal and it will calm down. Like if you hear blaring music right now, it will agitate you. There are some people who might enjoy it, it might be exciting, but it is also agitating. But there are certain kinds of music, when you hear them, it will calm you down. Yeah, plants will give you just that kind of music. Yeah, and it is not something that you will be able to hear it directly. We will share videos. And also the color green itself, if you notice, especially a few years ago, even hospitals had their curtains and separators, everything in green color. They still use a lot of green color. It is significant why they choose this color over anything else. you know that green color has a calming effect, and that is there in human psyche. It is there embedded in our DNA. Our life started from the forest. Now we think that the only way I can live is in a condo, in an apartment, or in a bungalow. It's true that we have had this comfort, but the real comfort is where we originate from. It is still our home. When you go to a forest, it is still feels like home. It still feels so right. When I want to go for a holiday, I'm not going to disclose the location, but I go to this remote place where you are really walking into a dense forest. you know not risking to be eaten by a leopard, just there, just about there. It really tunes you to the frequency of nature, just like so many of us art of living people, all of us daily practice our sudarshan kriya, which brings us to the rhythm of nature. But when you are standing in the midst of nature, when you are with plants, then you see that automatically your rhythm will become that. Yeah. So it is. I feel that plants are really the best company you can have. Yeah, the
So
best
beautifully
company.
said, Raji. Yeah, you're so right. It is so meditative in in the natural habitat where there are plants and woods. And I think when I also started, and nobody has to really do much effort to get that peace. The moment you are in that space, you can feel the peaceful vibration. It does not require you to do any gimmicks. It's just present all around you. Even hugging a tree, for that matter. I remember, like, as a child, we were taught, of course, that plants are precious and you should grow them, and then by default, there's some attraction sometimes, and you just want to go and touch a tree or hug a tree, and when you do that, you feel so relieved of all these stresses within you. So you realize that there is a consciousness in that particular being which is connecting with you so deeply. And that's what exactly I have felt as well. So
Mhm.
I would at this stage want to show to our viewers a video which is actually emitting sounds of a plant called peace lily. Some of us may have it at our homes. And I'm just going to play this video. I hope you all can view it and hear the sound perfectly fine. But it was a revelation to me when I heard this first time. So we saw that was so unique, and it's a sound which is associated only with this plant in the particular circumstance in which this plant is kept. So this keeps changing, obviously the environment, and that's why there's a reason why peace lily is called peace lily. Now we know that there is a vibration that it emits which brings about peace. So this itself, I think, opens a whole new dimension of being able to access the universal consciousness for me, Divyaji, because if I know there's a particular frequency vibration that I can connect with, for example, if I have mango trees around me, in my vicinity, in my neighborhood, and I connect with that frequency at a level where I can feel a deep level of peace, then I would rather want to have more of it, or be able to access more of it frequently, because in today's world, if we can get peace at the snap of our finger, nothing like it. So it opens up a whole new dimension, right? So how does this knowledge affect you, Divyaji, if you know that something like this is available to access, through
That's the thing.
through the medium of plants? Yeah.
Right. Like one has always felt, like I'm sure all of our viewers and everybody has felt this connection with plants at some time or the other. One feels a general sense of calm. But when I was listening to you and I was thinking that, what if it is possible to have like specific effects that one desires to have? Like, say, I want, like, say, if I'm stuck at a point in my life and I want my obstacles to be removed, then what is the how do I connect to certain plant frequencies which can really do that for me? One is a general sense, of course it will give you a sense of wellness, it will give you a sense of calm and peace. What if you want to invoke valor and wisdom? What if you want to drive through chaos in life? Can plants really do that also? I mean, people when they hear it for the first time they will think like ये क्या कैसी बात है. बट आप सोचिए, स्पेशली हमारे आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग के लोग तो मैं सोचती हूँ ये जानते हैं, हम सब ने ऑब्जर्व किया होगा कि जब हमारे नवरात्रि के होमास होते हैं हम जानते हैं कि उसमें हर एक देवी, हर एक भगवान, जैसे गणपति है, विष्णु है, अलग अलग होमा होते हैं. तो उसमें सारा ऑफरिंग जो है आप उसको देख लीजिए, जितना भी कुछ उस हवन में चढ़ाया जाता है, पूजा में चढ़ाया जाता है, वो हर एक चीज एक प्लांट का पार्ट ही है. कोई ऐसा चीज नहीं है जो वनस्पति ना हो, चाहे वो नारियल हो, चाहे वो कोई पुष्प हो, कोई पत्ता हो, वो बाक ऑफ अ ट्री हो, चाहे वो लकड़ी हो, उसके बिना कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. और हम जानते हैं कि उससे हमें क्या क्या प्राप्त है, क्या क्या हमको वो एक्सेस मिलता है उस एनर्जी का. एंड but then to be able to do it like you said, Mega, at the snap of my finger, how do I do that? How do you
Oh,
do that? Now this is
the
some, this is, I think this is something that we have got a peek into with the grace of the master. Something like this may not have revealed to me in my whole lifetime, was a possibility, but we got a peek into something like this dimension exists, that I can use this plant frequency not just to consume, not just for oxygen, not just for a general well-being also, but for specific things in my life.
that is such a big magic wand that you think, I mean that we can have, and I think what you have
Yeah,
touched upon.
this aspect can open up what all possibilities exist for us, as you know.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, Divyaji, we have got a glimpse of it, which we would want to share. And like I was mentioning, it's through a workshop called Mandala Vaatika. And which is, in this workshop, this is exactly what we do. We access particular plant, using particular plant vibrations and combining it with sacred geometry as well as sounds of mantras. When all of these three are combined, then we can actually access different powers of our consciousness, be it courage, be it compassion, be it peace, of course. So how does this happen? We can have a look at it, but before we go ahead, it is important also to understand. We've looked a little bit into plants. It's also important to look into sacred geometry, right? What it is, and then also look at how sound, sacred geometry, and plants can come together. So, Divyaji, would you like to share a little bit about sacred geometry? Because most of the viewers probably may not be aware of this concept, what it is.
Right. Right. I was also thinking of one thing that Gurudev has always spoken about, that every frequency, like we worship the frequency of Siddhi Vinayaka, Ganpati, we worship the frequency of Durga or Lakshmi, that every frequency has a certain Vahana. वो बोलते हैं ना, the energy that brings it into the physical plane. Like वो गणपति का वाहन वो चूहा को दिखाते हैं, और दुर्गा का वो टाइगर को दिखाते हैं, अलग अलग फ्रीक्वेंसीज से वो जुड़ा हुआ है ऐसा. We have may not have experienced it, but we know that Gurudev has said something like that, and it is true. So every being, every animal, every plant brings a certain vibration into the world. Yeah. And to access, when we talk about the possibility of accessing it, then comes the part of sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is something that is the very basis of the construction of all construction, all architecture that happened in ancient India. Then what is surviving in our times from those architectures, if we go there even today, we experience that vibration, we experience that stillness, we experience a certain frequency at different places. Yeah. And that is because the construction is based on something called sacred geometry. Even if it is your neighborhood temple, if they install a murti, then they will be installing a plate of sacred geometry beneath that, which is something that attracts that vibration and keeps it there. It is like, very much like placing a TV and having that something to catch the signal. If you have a TV set but no connector, nothing to catch the frequency, that TV won't work for you. It will not show you anything, not give you any result. So that sacred geometry is that device, that apparatus that catches that energy for you. And with plants we make that connection, and with that sound vibration, that really the portals open for us and we can get access to that energy directly. It is an amazing science. And it is our fortune that our generation is seeing the revival of this ancient science, which was meant only for probably very intense training, or it was kept as a secret. It was never revealed to people like you and me. you know but we have been fortunate, we are in this generation where this science is being revived. It has been blessed by Gurudev, and Dr. Rao has been researching on it for maybe over 15 years now, to bring it in that uh, genuinity, in that purity, that knowledge and practicality, so that even if I don't have a garden, I don't have acres of space, or even big enough space, I can still experience that on my A4 size paper. It's that simple, but it is still that profound. The science of sacred geometry and this Mandala Vaatika as a whole, that tradition is just something mind blowing, and yet deeply individually experiential.
Absolutely
Would you
right.
like to state your experience of that, and maybe if we have a video to
Yeah,
establish that?
absolutely, yes. And before that, I just want to share that for me, 6 months back, I had no idea about what sacred geometry is. And to this date, when I'm madly in love with it, because it has really opened up a new dimension of life, like I keep saying. And what that dimension does to me is it makes me humbled. It makes me feel that the cosmic energies are taking care of me, and they are much bigger than what I am in my capacity. And that's why also it makes me wonder about, I mean, it makes me feel connected to the infinite nature of my being, or so to say, the universe, which I then can feel, they say yat pinde tat brahmande. So I can feel that connection of infinity, of being infinite, and of like I said, being humbled and taken care of, which has happened only because I got in touch with this science, ancient science of Mandala Vaatika, which explores sacred geometry, plants, and sounds. The connection between these three in depth. So for the viewers, and sacred geometry, by the way, is everywhere. So it's not a unique science which is applicable only for a certain aspect of the universe. It is everywhere. The universe is created, sustained, maintained, and transformed in different patterns of energy, which are demonstrated by sacred geometry. So we would just like to give you a glimpse of the geometry that exists in nature, and probably it will marvel you like it has marveled us. So just here is a little bit of a glimpse of where all can you see sacred geometry in the universe, if we pay attention. So that is the beauty of sacred geometry. It is everywhere, including our. So when we say, just give me a minute, I'll just yeah, close the video. Yeah. So when we talk about sacred geometry, and we are using the word mandala vatika, and you may be wondering what's the connection between sacred geometry and mandala. So mandalas are nothing but, in purest of its form, the word mandala in Sanskrit means a circle. So basically, diagrammatic representations of the sacred geometry are called mandalas, and there are different kinds of mandalas, like Divyaji was sharing, for accessing different kinds of energy patterns. There is a deep linkage, like I said, it's everywhere, and even our own body is nothing but a mandala. And this is something I figured out when I started studying this science a little bit. So moving on, now we have seen plants, how they can communicate. We have seen a bit about geometry and how it's present everywhere, and how it can give us access to different kinds of energies. Now let's look at sound, Divyaji. Now this is another branch, which has fascinated me in the recent times. So what is the linkage between sound and sacred geometry and plants? You know if you can share that.
Yeah, so I learned this in the Mandala Vatika, that how sound is something that creates geometry. We have heard from Gurudev and from scientists who think that the Big Bang is how the universe originated. So one used to wonder, because there is no proof, but these are just theories. Our ancient scriptures also say that, but one wonders. But then there are certain experiments. I think we will get to know more about it during the course. We will be able to understand the science of cymatics, where you see it really happening. It is amazing that it is really happening. A certain sound frequency will create a certain diagram in the universe. And that is why, again, going back to how Gurudev tells us to listen to the mantra chantings, because really they alter our DNA in a way. They alter the way our cells are arranged in the body. If there is a disease, that means the arrangement has gone a little off. Like cancer, for instance, is something that your cells have gone a little off their natural or healthy arrangement. Yeah. And to bring that back, you again need to go back to that harmony, a state of harmony, and sound can produce that harmony. Yeah. A harmony is that arrangement of cells. I don't know how to explain it well, because it is something, one, it is something that we can, something a matter of being studied upon, and second, it is experience. I'm sure all of our art of living friends have experienced this themselves, that when we uh, just sit in and listen to the mantras, our state of mind will change. And if our state of mind will change, our body also starts feeling more positive and healthy, and a sense of wellness dawns on us. Now Gurudev has given us all these options, all these avenues to make our life richer. Yeah. And I was thinking of another example, like we discussed that how a TV won't work without a thing which catches that frequency, and a mobile phone also will not work without a chip, and that chip also has that design to catch that vibration. Yeah. So that chip is that sacred geometry. And sound, the right kind of sound, also creates that geometry, creates that vibration. Yeah, that one can go on talking, but how to explain
I know. And
that?
exactly for that reason, we have a video for our viewers. Divyaji. We can
That'll be good.
actually look at how sound creates geometry. And I'm just again going to share a small little video to help us experience it, visually. So here we go. So isn't that fascinating? Just corroborating what Divyaji just explained so beautifully, right?
Really, really, Mega. It's every time you look at it, you'll still look at it with wonder, don't you? Like, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the kind of impact that sound has on on creating geometry. And when we now, if we want to connect all of these three together, plants, sound, and sacred geometry, what we get is a potent combination of Mandala Vaatika. We can create a Vaatika as well, but we get a potent combination and a skill of accessing energy patterns of different tattvas, so to say, or gods and goddesses. For example, if we are drawing a Durga Devi mandala, which means and it is very, very, scientific, and its roots are in our ancient Vedic tradition. So some of you may have seen mandala patterns before, but yeah, if we that's what we learn on this course. We learn to draw these specific mandalas of certain specific tattvas or goddess energies. So when we draw, for example, the Durga Devi mandala, we are creating that design, that geometric pattern to access the Durga tattva. And when we chant some specific mantras and offer plant parts which are of course very very conscious and alive and are carriers of certain wavelengths of energy, then we can actually access the Durga tattva, the Durga energy, which is the energy that can help us go over chaos. For example, in these COVID times, when we both learned Durga Devi mandala just during last Navratri, it was so comforting for us and so relaxing to be able to go through these times of turbulence, because we could access that tattva, and it gave us that inner power to go tide over these times peacefully. So similarly, we have in the past learned three mandalas so far, and Divyaji will also share her experience. So we have learned the Durga Devi mandala, like we said. We've also learned the Siddhi Vinayaka mandala and the Varamahalakshmi mandala by the grace of our master. And now in January, we are exploring the Murugan mandala. And Divyaji, I really want you to talk about it because Murugan mandala is so special. So please, can you talk a little bit about Lord Murugan and the benefits of learning this mandala, or why one should learn it?
Yeah, I think my journey with Murugan started a little while ago when an astrologer in the ashram told me that I should get a Subramanya Homa done for certain things, to correct certain things in the astrology chart. So I had no idea, because in the north we see Lord Kartikeya as just the son of Shiva, who whose role is not very well defined for us. Yeah, so we not knowing much, I just started exploring into it, and I realized how this aspect of divinity gives a lot of courage, and is probably, astrology simply indicates what we need to enhance in our life, the tattva that we need to invoke to move forward in life, to bring in auspicious in life, because everything else would be fitting in well in my life at that point. But if I don't have courage, I cannot step forward. If I don't have faith, if I don't have the correct knowledge at the right time, I will not have the will to go forward and embrace a good change also in my life, no. So I realized how I started feeling that connection with that energy, and I'm so looking forward to the Murugan Mandala Vatika, because now we see we have gone through a major part of chaos. We don't feel that the world is shaking anymore. Now we already know that whatever came is already there in the world, and we have kind of made peace with corona also. Yeah, the changing times, the changing economics and everything, we have kind of learned how to live with it. But how to take that next step? How can I make my life projected to the next level, and maybe m- make good use of this time and make a fresh start, or do something that brings about a big it might just invite something really nice in my life. But for that, moving forward, we need wisdom, the right knowledge and courage, and that is what this tattva will give us. So personally, I am really looking forward, and I would think that all of our meditative friends, and all of our people who have not meditated even once, anybody above 16 who wants to get a direct experience of consciousness, you're all welcome to come. And let's begin this new year on this beautiful note, on that personal empowerment is what Murugan Vatika gives you, that personal empowerment. Yeah? So this is what we should go for.
Absolutely. And the Murugan Tattva is also the Guru Tattva. So I would really want to call upon all the people who have the presence of a master, who have that good fortune to experience that, this Tattva through this Vatika as well. It is going to be so amazing to discover this Tattva, in a new way, the Guru Tattva in a new way. So I would also at this time want to share, Divyaji, some of the other things, one is, yes, of course, you get a lot of empowerment in terms of the energy vibrations that you feel. You go deeper into meditations, and you can practically also, when you learn to draw. So a mandala vatika, now let us focus a little bit on the vatika aspect also. We have understood the mandala aspect and the magic it has. We can actually, like Divyaji was sharing in the beginning, the gardens in ancient India were designed on the principle of mandalas. So in this workshop, Prabhakar sir also teaches us how we can actually build a real life mandala vatika. If we have that kind of space, well and good. Otherwise, we can also build tabletop mandala vatikas for our own homes, or for the homes of our family and friends. And it can open up a whole new, world of maybe entrepreneurship for some of you who want to go deeper into this science. So in fact, one of our previous participants, and I want to show to everyone what he has done with this knowledge, apart from experiencing deep meditative states. He has actually, now this is a gentleman from Indonesia, and he has actually developed this on his wall. This is the Siddhi Vinayaka mandala that he has developed in his own house, just to channel the energy of Siddhi Vinayaka, or the remover
Yeah,
of
this is
obstacles.
huh,
Yeah,
yeah. This is
yeah,
one he's drawn on his wall. He's created this as a mural, but he's also done like a proper garden. There's
yeah,
another one that he's done. I think we don't have that picture right now. So this
yes.
Varalakshmi has been created as a mural, and he's also it's very
Yeah.
beautiful, very beautiful.
Beautiful. And then the other picture is actually depicting, so during special pujas, we can obviously feel very blessed, because if we know how to draw these mandalas, access specific energies, then on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi or Navaratras, or other Ashtamis that we experience, we can actually draw these mandalas for our own selves and get into deeper states of meditation and feel happy vibrations around us. So there are multiple ways in which you can use this ancient knowledge and contribute to its revival. So here is, our beautiful poster of the Murugan Mandala Vatika, which is designed with so much of love. Uh, we have two batches coming up, 9th to 12th Jan, and then 14th to 17th Jan, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. You can register using the link given at the bottom of the poster. We will also put it up. It is there on our Facebook walls for sure. Or you can get in touch with either of us, to get to know more about it, and do not miss this opportunity. It's actually a very, very ancient mandala which has not been explored in centuries, actually. And there's a lot of uh, work, research that Prabhakar sir has done to bring this to all of us. And especially, I would also like to mention, Divyaji, here, if I can, that for this specific mandala, Puja Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar ji has given certain specific directions, which will definitely take us to another level of experience for sure. So all the art of living people, at least, do not miss this opportunity, and everyone is welcome to experience it. There is no age criteria. I mean, as long as you are comfortable with geometry, like your compass, you need to use a compass and draw
Yeah, just basic geometry.
basic geometry, which will be taught to you very, very in a very simplistic manner by Prabhakar sir. And so anyone can do it, who is interested in something like this.
हाँ,
So
तो
any
बस यही
last
बोलेंगे, सब कुछ छोड़ के आना पड़े तो भी ये कर डालो बस. The experience will be worth it. We can vouch for it that once you do the Mandala Vatika program, you will be like, why did I not find it sooner? That will be the only question. It's just very beautiful.
There's something for the spiritually inclined, there's something for the scientifically inclined, there's something for just people who are genuinely curious about learning new stuff. And yeah, so that's our invitation to all of you. With that, we will wrap up the session. Divyaji,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining, everyone.
yeah. Thank you, Megha. Such a lovely time just chatting up with you. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, good day. Bye.